Alright, so, you know how important good netcode is for a fighting game when a game that's literally 18 years old just recently had a resurgence of players on Steam. So the thing is, King of Fighters 2002 Unlimited Match just recently had a rollback netcode beta test for the first 2 weeks of October. And when you take a look at the peak times for the game, you'll notice how the number of players went up significantly. 589 players was the peak on Steam in the last 30 days, and not only that, but FGC Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, etc. It really became like the big talk of the community. Again, the game came out in 2002, but Unlimited Edition was the 2009 version that released in the arcades, I believe. And so when you compare it to Granblue Versus, the only fighting game that came out in 2020, right? You can see that it's like consistently lower in players than KOF 02. Granblue did have like that big spike of online players because of the Season 2 patch, but that really went down pretty hard over time, while KOF during the peak times always had like a stronger average like active players, right? And unfortunately for Granblue, really it's like it's clinging to life at this point because the game came out this year, and as you could see, like the game just it's just what's the word? It's really holding on, to say the least. Meanwhile, KOF 2002 over here has more players than Soul Calibur 6, Under Night in Birth, BlazBlue Central Fiction, BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle. You get the idea. And okay, I haven't gotten to the best part yet. Guilty Gear Accent Core Plus R is now getting a rollback beta test on October 29. Oh my word. Like, it's just such exciting news. And if you see the Steam charts before the announcement and you compare it to right now, the game already went up in players, even without the netcode improvements yet. It's coming October 29, and when that hits, I guarantee you, this will probably be the most played anime fighter on Steam. Of course, under Dragon Ball, right? Because nothing's going to be Dragon Ball. And so, I say all this to say that rollback netcode needs to be the future of online fighting games. This technology should have been implemented, honestly, like a long time ago, especially now with the pandemic. There's no tournaments, and we're not going to be having tournaments for a very long time. And so without tournaments, games with poor netcode will just die out, just shrivel up, right? And the games I listed are a pretty good example of that. Like, Under Night was really doing well last year. It was just going up, and after it was added to EVO, there was just more and more players, right? It had like 1,000 entries or something, and after the pandemic, Under Night's just like really declined hard online. I'm just using that as an example. I don't mean to specifically bash Granblue, Under Night, or BlazBlue. I'm just using those as an example as to why these developers need to add rollback netcode to these games. I hope that we don't see. I hope this isn't the last of them adding rollback to older fighting games. Like, I hope BlazBlue gets it next, you know? I really hope so. And so, here's the thing. Like, King of Fighters 02 is proof of how important it is for fighting games to have great online. Like, if you look at this tweet, for instance, look how much these numbers have spiked. Without online, people cannot play these games. And when people stop playing these games, well, it just dies. The game's just dead, right? I'm very happy to see this trend where developers are adding rollback netcode to these older games. And so I really hope these very same developers make sure that all of their new titles, every single one from now on, has rollback netcode. Thankfully, Guilty Gear Strive, this has already been confirmed, but we still haven't gotten any confirmation for netcode for King of Fighters 15. I mean, then again, we haven't gotten any news on King of Fighters 15 period outside of its logo, so there's that. But I'm pretty certain SNK is adding good netcode for all their older titles to like really gauge interest to see like if the demand's really there. And as they can clearly see, even if an 18-year-old game or whatever, 12-year-old game, I don't know how old 02 UM is specifically, but that being said, like, I'm sure King of Fighters 15 is going to be a big hit, and it's going to have good online. And like, when you look at Samurai Showdown, it pretty much did everything right, except the good online part. Sam Show had a really interesting roster, it looked good, it had content, it had free DLC, but the problem is, Samurai Showdown just had one of the worst online environments, and just look at what happened to it. Completely dead within months. Like, people aren't really talking about it anymore. There's no tournaments for it, so there's nothing left for that game. And unless you're a big game like Tekken or Dragon Ball or SF5, you can't get away with having bad online. You absolutely just can't. Because in my opinion, any fighting game that releases with bad online from here onward is pretty much dead on arrival in my opinion. And I feel like there's really no arguing that. Like, if King of Fighters 15 came out with bad online, it's just gonna shrivel up instantly. We're at this point where there's just no tolerance for bad online for fighting games. Especially when we pay $60 and the game's not finished, the game's not playable. Anyway, that being said, that's pretty much everything I want to talk about regarding the state of netcode in fighting games. I just really wanted to get my opinion out there on what netcode does for fighting games, because honestly, King of Fighters 02 was probably the most fun I've had with fighting games, I think this entire year, honestly. And I'm pretty sure when I was thinking about it, I was reflecting on that. I think it's because the online made the game such a blast to play. Fighting games that have poor online are just not playable, right? So I just hope, you know what? I just hope we get more of this stuff for older titles. BlazBlue Central Fiction, BB Tag, Dragon Ball. But yeah, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. As always, I'm Kuma King, and I hope you guys have a great rest of the week. Peace!